Okay, it is Sunday the 30th of April 2017. I just noticed that my camera had stopped recording. It might have just run out of a half-hour time segment, but I'm not so sure about that. Anyhow, I think it was recording until a few minutes ago, because I've been checking it fairly regularly. So anyway, we'll continue our little monologue. We might have missed the last few minutes of monologue, which actually isn't such a big problem because it had almost nothing to do with Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuse and hypocrisy, and so on. It was about other issues that sort of arose as a result of bumping into a Irish musician here in Montreal. So we'll just continue to circulate. And we shall show the signs to all of these cars, and the passing cyclists, and so on. In my right hand I have a sign that says unsafe sect, which is obviously a play on words. And in my left hand, oh, there goes some people. Those people in the blue car were at the Unitarian Church of Montreal. They're heading home, I guess. Unitarian Universalist perversion of justice, sucks you, asterisk you, was in my left hand. So, they'd already seen those signs because they had previously parked and gotten into the car not far from here. So I guess they went around the block or came out the other side. Yeah, I guess they just came out the other side of the driveway. And it's possible these people are also Unitarians. And we've definitely had a bunch of people from Ontario here at the Unitarian Church of Montreal today. People from Ottawa, people from Toronto, for sure. I'm not sure about other Ontario cities. So it's nice to be able to bring it to the attention of Ontario Unitarian Universalists that there's a bit of a problem, not only here at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, but also in terms of the larger Unitarian Universalists. I just got a bonjour from somebody going by in the car. Not sure what that is about. Could just be, someone from the public, or it could be a Unitarian Universalist being nice to the protester, and thus basically avoiding the issues that are being protested here. It seems like a lot of Unitarian Universalists believe if they're just nice and polite with me, that somehow means they don't have to deal with the issues I'm protesting against. Sort of a form of psychological denial and willful ignorance and complacency and complicity and so on. Again, I don't know if these were Unitarians in the car where the person said bonjour. Could have just been non-Unitarian public, but as a rule, when Unitarian Universalists, make a point of being nice to the protester, it's usually a cover for willful ignorance and psychological denial. Because if they were really interested in being nice to the protester, they would deal responsibly with the issues that I'm protesting against. But so far, Unitarian Universalists have been, unready, unwilling, and unable to actually practice what Unitarian Universalism so fraudulently preaches. Because unfortunately, precisely because Montreal Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists more generally are so pathetic at actually practicing the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism and various other claimed ideals of Unitarian Universalism, essentially it renders the principles and other ideals and so on literally fraudulent because they basically say all of these things but make zero effort to practice them.
Love to you?
If you really want to have some love to me, please send a letter to the UUA demanding why they are misusing Canada's blasphemy law and legal bullying intended to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. That would be a big favor. But don't say love to me in a totally empty manner. See, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about bullshit, insincerity on the part of Unitarians. Be nice to the protester. This woman, who I've never seen before, says love to you. But it's totally meaningless. And we're going to get to some other totally meaningless stuff very soon. It is meaningless. If she really sincerely, wanted to show the love, as it were, she would, A, take the time to find out what the protest is about, instead of just walking away. And she would, once she determined, what it's all about, she would then do the next thing, which is to try to ensure that some real justice and equity and compassion arises out of Unitarian Universalism, to deal responsibly with the issues I'm protesting against. But no, she just emptily says love to you and continues on her way, probably totally oblivious to what it's all about. Now, I could be mistaken. It's, maybe she will, do what I say, which is to write to the Unitarian Universalist Association and demand an explanation for the Unitarian Universalist Association's immoral and unethical and borderline criminal and, yes, batshit crazy misuse of blasphemy law, illegal bullying that's intended to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. So here's the picket sign that talks about that. Unitarian Universalists misuse blasphemy law to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. It's an entirely truthful statement that is based on the fact that the Unitarian Universalist Association hired Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors litigation lawyer, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe, to have me served with a cease and desist demand letter, which, amongst other highly questionable accusations, falsely accused me of making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. And here we have Charles Edis coming out of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Oh, look, there's my Church of the Image Tarnishing Ministers picket sign right there. So here's Charles Edis, Minister Emeritus of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, coming out with his wife, Nancy Edis. Charles has been aware of all of the issues that I'm protesting about from the very beginning. I have never at any time seen Charles Edis speak out against a single one of the injustices and abuses and hypocrisies that I am protesting against. Charles Edis is totally complicit in, not only the original issues that I was protesting against, but the fact that Unitarians cover up clergy abuse by, amongst other things, falsely accusing yours truly of blasphemous libel and legal bullying intended to intimidate me into removing blog posts that tell the truth about such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by certain Unitarian Universalist ministers. Charles Edis is aware of this. He's been aware of it for years. I've never seen Charles Edis demand an explanation from the UUA. I've never seen Charles Edis say this is completely and utterly wrong and you need to formally withdraw that false blasphemous libel accusation against Mr. Edgar, and you need to apologize not only to Mr. Edgar, but to me and every other Unitarian Universalist who you've brought to shame by misusing Canada's blasphemy law in an effort to hide pedophilia and rape. You know, I'm thoroughly enjoying being accused of blasphemous libel by batshit crazy atheist Unitarians in the 21st century. It's a huge honor and privilege to be falsely accused of blasphemy in the 21st century by atheists. I mean, that's hilarious in one way. It's not hilarious, you know, why they're accusing me of blasphemous libel. That's disgusting, quite frankly, and shameful, and a whole bunch of other adjectives: immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, batshit crazy, and so on. You know, to misuse blasphemy law specifically to hide clergy sex abuse of the worst kind, i.e. pedophilia and rape, well, that's just truly disgusting. You know, that's where we are. But the other flip side of the coin is, you know, just to be accused of blasphemy for any reason whatsoever by Unitarians, and more particularly atheist Unitarians in the 21st century, well, that's hilarious. I mean, that's a gigantic joke. And as I said, it's also a truly unique honor and privilege. You know, how many people get to be accused of blasphemy in the 21st century in North America, but especially by Unitarians? Well, you're doing a very good job of cleaning up that mess. Maybe you should work on cleaning up this mess.
Well, I gather you've been working at it for years.
No, I'm talking about you working at it. You know, you've got a big fat mess on your hand, and you should be cleaning it up. Yeah, I know you're working on the garden while you're busily ignoring much more serious problems. So here we go. This is actually very ironic. So here's the Church of the Image Tarnishing Ministers picket sign, and you know, these 4 women, at least 3 of whom are members of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and most likely the other one, who I don't recognize, is also, but she could be from out of town. You know, here they are cleaning up the garden. You know, so they're actually working to clean up things. But for years, you know, as this woman said, you know, she just said minutes ago that, you know, I've been working on this protest for years, so she knows about it. Well, unfortunately, she and other Unitarians, you know, have not been working to clean up the mess. You know, they're apparently very happy to have this mess outside their church. So here they are, yes, working on cleaning up the mess in the garden. You know, get rid of the litter and so on. Maybe do some weeding, but they're doing absolutely nothing, rien, to deal responsibly with the issues I'm protesting against, which include, but are not limited to, the immoral and unethical and borderline criminal misuse of Canada's blasphemy law by the Unitarian Universalist Association in legal bullying intended to hide rape. You know, they should be cleaning that up. There's things they can do to clean that mess up, and they're not doing it. So here we go. We're talking about empty and meaningless bullshit. Here we have the mission statement of the Unitarian Church of Montreal on the Unitarian Church of Montreal's Wayside Pulpit. Our spiritual community welcomes, nurtures, inspires, challenges. Together we take action in the world. Well, I've already pointed out on several other occasions how utterly meaningless this is, but you know, here's some action. Here's some action that Montreal Unitarians are taking in the world. They're cleaning up the mess in front of their church. They're cleaning up the litter that's in their garden. They're maybe doing a little bit of weeding and so on. They're making the garden more presentable. So, you know, they're taking action in the world and cleaning up a mess. But there's other much more serious messes that they're not cleaning up. They're not attempting to clean up. They're not making the slightest effort to clean up. You know, this protest against, you know, atheist Unitarians misusing blasphemy, law to hide rape, it's been going on for some years now. And prior to that, you know, there were other issues. You know, the misuse of blasphemy law is fairly recent. It dates back to 2012, and I didn't really begin protesting it until 2013. You know, I gave the Unitarian Universalist Association a considerable opportunity to clean up the mess before I added it to my protest, and of course they did nothing. So this is the symbolism here is really excellent. You know, here are these Montreal Unitarians, 4 of them, tidying up the garden. They're cleaning up a mess. I mean, it doesn't really look all that bad. They're tending the garden, but you know, there is some litter in there. There's, you know, they're cleaning up the mess, but they're doing absolutely nothing to clean up the mess caused by Reverend Ray Drennan's anti-religious intolerance and bigotry, which essentially finally forced me to begin protesting in the late 1990s. They're doing absolutely nothing to clean up the mess, the much bigger mess, quite frankly, caused by the Unitarian Universalist Association's misuse of Canada's blasphemy law and legal bullying intended to cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. I mean, it's not like they don't know about that mess. It's not like they're totally unaware. I mean, they know about this protest. You know, they can enter into a free and responsible search for truth and meaning about the Unitarian Universalist Association's misuse of blasphemy law. And if they did so, well, then they could realize that, holy shit, this is a big fat UU mess. We really need to